Do you know why you're here?
Yeah.
Do you know when you go to court?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Lisa. I'm a screener, so I'm going to be just asking you some questions today, getting through everything. And are you going to call Mum?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Hi, my name's Lisa. I'm a Services and Programs Officer at MRRC Silverwater Complex. I've just got here with me to make a call to you. Are you happy to take a call from him? All right, just a moment. We'll be on speaker, okay? All right, just a sec. There you go.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Yeah.
Everything fine?
Yeah, that's all right.
I think not knowing what to expect next, being my first time in, was very unexpected to what I was going to look through. Being put into a cell where you're by yourself, no one to talk to, no communication outside because you don't have any numbers on a phone, and you got to go through the stages and to get settled in. It's scary. I cried myself to sleep maybe 10 of the first nights in jail.
We've been granted exclusive access to one of Australia's largest, busiest and toughest prisons. We're at the Metropolitan Remand and Reception Centre, or MRRC, at Silverwater in Sydney's western suburbs. We're about to take you inside to show you what life is really like behind the razor wire.
So the MRRC is one of the biggest remand reception centres within the state. We receive inmates from courts where they've been bail refused by the justice system, and they stay here till they actually attend court. So they could be here for anywhere up to 8 months, 12 months, 18 months. It just depends on their classification, which is in regards to their charges. So they may be remanded into the Sydney Metropolitan area. So they'll be remanded to this centre initially before they actually go to court and sentencing, where once they're sentenced, then they're classified to another correctional centre within New South Wales. There are a vast number of inmates that come through within the centre. At the present time, the state is over 1,100, and we can go all the way up to 1,500 inmates.
Is there any such thing as an average day for you?
No. Every day is a different day. I can come here some days and things are run smoothly. And since I've been here, well, it's been a different day every day. And that includes 24 hours and 7 days a week.
Pat Abood is the Governor of the MRRC. He's had a long and distinguished career with Corrective Services New South Wales. He runs this place.
I've been the Governor here for approximately 6 months now, but prior to my appointment, I've worked in various correctional centres all around New South Wales. And prior to my appointment as Governor, I was here at the MRRC for approximately 10 years as the Manager of Security. We had a helicopter that landed on the Oval. John Kelly came in and dropped the helicopter on the Oval with Lucy Dudcoe, and they flew out.
A whole building went up in flames, which is the old laundry area, and it was right next to our accommodation building. We had to evacuate the whole building, which had 68 inmates in it, roughly. So we had to move them out. There was 4 different cohorts within that area. So we had protection inmates, normal inmates, strict protection inmates. So that was a pretty big day when the whole laundry went up in flames.
There's a lot of moving parts to this prison. We want to show you exactly what happens from the moment a fresh custody inmate steps off the truck.
Inmates come into the system, they're processed through the intake area, they're assessed by our screening officers, and they're checked medically. Then once they're assessed, they're then placed into the MRRC in a designated area, and once that's been done, then they see my team members from classification, and from that point they are then classified and given a security rating, and then placed either here at the MRRC with further court, or if they come here sentenced, then they're placed in another correctional centre around New South Wales.
We are trying to calm them down, number one. It's coming from the cells, and that's when there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. Are they at risk to themselves, to others? Any specific concerns or fears for your safety while you're in custody? What about at this jail?
No.
Any affiliations?
No.
We're looking for any troubles at home. Is there kids left at home? Are there animals left at home? Are there any material possessions that they need to take care of urgently? You know, is housing at risk? Best way to describe it is it's like a risk assessment, and let them family members know where they are. And other than family, who have you got that's a good support in your life? Like, who's a good pro-social support, not in trouble, that you...
Just a mum.
Got any friends that are like a good support?
A couple of friends, yeah.
That are like not in trouble, not leading you down to, like, don't use drugs? Anyone that doesn't use drugs in your life?
Yeah.
That are friends?
Yeah.
Some that can be crying, it can be very emotional in here. It's very rare for them not to cry in here. It is a safe space for them to do that before they do get down into the cells. They don't know what to expect.
It was a real shock for me, to be honest with you. I was at Surrey Hills for a night, and from there I got told I was coming here originally. I ended up at Park Lee, and I was hysterical. They were asking me all these questions, and I didn't really know what to expect. So I took it on the chin, and I think I cried myself to sleep for the first 10 nights. It was my mum's birthday, to be honest, and I couldn't speak to her because I didn't have a phone. And it's just, once you get through that first month and you sort of you get to grips with what jail's like, and look, it comes easy, and then there's hard days as well. First timer in jail, it's daunting and scary. But you know, if you put your head down and knuckle down, it gets a lot easier. And hopefully a lot of people learn from their mistakes and go outside and don't come back.
We spoke to an inmate we'll call John. We can't use the real names of any of the prisoners or tell you why they're here. John works in the kitchen and is housed one out, meaning he has a cell to himself.
I read a lot. I've read a lot since I've come in. I write, I journal. I find journaling clears my mind, so I put everything out on paper, and then I feel a bit at ease. If you want to get through jail and leave jail in the right frame of mind, then I guess being active and working generally works well for a lot of people.
The time starts at about 7 o'clock in the morning. The staff will then go down to their accommodation areas, where they'll initially do a head check. And then once the head checks are all correct, they'll go around each cell to make sure every inmate is there and alive. And then once that head check's correct, then they'll do what's called a general let go. So they'll let the inmates into the common areas.
From there, we all get walked down to work. And then after that, we do the milk runs to get the numbers, deliver all the milks to the pods. We sort of have a little bit of free time, about an hour. Most of us train outside to keep mentally and physically active. And then from there, we do lunches from 9:30 to 10:30, deliver them, have another hour off, stack the dinners, load the dinners, send them out, get back to our pod about 1:30, you get locked in at 2:30. And then that's, obviously you're on your own in your cell and you wind down, I guess, and go to bed. But yeah, it's good.
Now the kitchen.
Every jail runs differently. MRRC runs differently to Goulburn, to Junee, to South Coast. But one of the fundamentals, hardest role for a prison officer is dealing with the post-traumatic stress disorders, dealing with critical incidents. We could have a death in custody. We can have a critical incident involving an inmate being stabbed, or let alone an officer injured, heaven forbid. But furthermore to that, my rule of thumb is that I come to work, we all start the same time, we all finish the same time, we all secure the inmates at the same time, and I just want everyone to be accounted for and going to their cells well, and they're in good health, and I just want my staff to go home at the end of each shift.
So I joined this job at 22 years old. It was very daunting as a 22-year-old. coming into a maximum security jail. It's nothing like Wentworth, nothing like the movies. It's completely different. You've got to have your wits about you. You've got to be very thick-skinned, I think. There's a lot of slurs made towards you, towards family members, towards your friends, or threats against you. So some of the things have to be taken seriously in regards to certain threats. But as long as you don't dehumanise inmates and treat them with a reasonable level of respect, as in there are humans, so we don't need to hammer them down any further. We just treat them as they're supposed to be treated, as per the law. That's what we're supposed to be doing. It's a volatile area. It can be very volatile. You just don't go anywhere. If you're walking into accommodation areas, you don't walk in there by yourself. You're always walking with another person. Every officer has a duress alarm. Every officer has a radio. So there's always some form of communication with somebody within the area for a response on your radio.
Personally, I have been here 7 years and I have never felt at risk, not once. We're a very, very close-knit team with the Blue and the nurses. It's a very one-team environment here, especially in intake. We have to be that way because we need to alert each other. If I had any inkling, I know that they're there within 2 seconds, like even faster than that. That's a big thing about the job, is that you are safe at all times. Yes, we wear a duress, but we are safe at all times.
When someone is sexually assaulted, we do have a protocol that we put in place straight away, and they're administered medical attention. I have no doubt it does go on behind bars, but a lot of people who have undergone some form of assault in prison reluctantly don't tell us who did it because they don't want to be branded as a so-called prison term as a dog. So that is a bit hard for us when that does happen. However, we get in there, we try to help the inmates, we try to assist them the best way we can. I'm very passionate about women's issues, I'm very passionate about First Nations issues. And for those vulnerable groups, we do everything that we can to help those individuals out. We get to know who the people are and we ensure that we manage it the best way we can. And how do we do that? We put them in different areas of the centre, have set up different cohorts where they can all get on and hopefully live in harmony.
The MRRC runs a pilot program for Indigenous inmates called Healing the Warrior in conjunction with Rainbow Lodge, an external service provider. 8 men are learning how to better understand trauma and its effect on their attitude, behaviour and lifestyle choices.
Unfortunately, our society isn't that supportive of us as we move out of the system to empower our lives. We've got to work really hard to get that stuff. So just hold that in mind, but it's not impossible. It just means you're going to have to work harder. You need to look at, the service or systems need to look at how does change happen for men who are in jail who actually got trauma and being further traumatised. So you guys and the collective, all the men who've done this program in JM and here and Rainbow Lodge, like that collective might be the voice that says there needs to be more programs like this in jails. And for us as black men, we just should not be in jail. You know, we're better than this. All of you are better than this. This is not who you are. None of you are the sum of the worst thing that you've ever done. You're more than that. You're your brothers, your sons, your dads, your uncles, your cousins, your footballers, you're all these other things. You're poets, you're actors, you're singers, you're dancers, you're all these other things. You're not the worst thing you've ever done. And that's like, we forget that. We get caught up in our trauma and we forget about all the other things that we are, and we've got to remember that. We got to, and if no one else is reminding us of that, we've got to remind ourselves of that.
I work with the peer support and I go around speaking to a few boys and they've sort of lost communication with their friends and some family and some members, and it's tough because I got a good support behind me, which I'm lucky enough to have, and a lot of people don't. And if you don't have that support, then I think jail will be a lot tougher than what it already is.
I'm not a big fan of prison movies, I must say. And I've got to say, I watched The Green Mile and it was about compassion. And I've known 2 prisoners who are wrongfully convicted and who did time for crimes they never did. We're paid by the taxpayer to look after offenders in our care and custody and to treat them with respect, and we have to with empathy, and we need to just take care of them because that's what we get paid to do. And you know what? If you can't talk to people with respect, with empathy, and if you can't talk to people overall, including visitors, I've got to say, you're in the wrong job. It's just how you talk to people. And there was a lot of, back in those days, people like Arthur Loveday and Barry Bull, you know, people that are just Roy Thurgar, and people who were feared, like under the Tom Domican, Abbo Henry. They're people that I spoke to, and you know, and you respect, and if you treat them right, they treat you right. And you know, then you had Nettie Smith, and they're different when they're behind the four walls and they're outside because they live here. But we have no choice but to get on with them and talk to them. So, like I say, you're better off talking to people than not.
They can be terribly reactive, where they'll say that they want to harm themselves because they think that might get them out into a hospital, but it's not. They're going to end up in here. They will go to all sorts of extremes because it's that stress level. It's that fight or flight, I guess. They don't know what to expect. In the last 12 months, has there been any major changes or incidents in your life? What's led you back down this path? Like, because you were doing well, 2022, so it's now 2025. What's happened in the last year?
Just relationship.
Yeah, so relationship breakdown. Are you using more drugs now than you were last year?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends and family come in and ask me what it really is like. It is tough, but again, you make it tough for yourself, it's going to be tough. You got to find things to do. If you can't read, learn to read. You can't write, learn to write. There's a lot of things you can do to take your mind off being bored. You're going to tell yourself you're bored, you're going to be bored. You're going to tell yourself you run 100 laps, you'll run 100 laps. If you want to go the terrible way and be bored, you'll have a hard time in jail. It's the people you surround yourself with at the end of the day. If you want to surround yourself with a bunch of larrikins, then be my guest. You want to surround yourself with good people, then you'll find jail a lot easier. I think hugging someone is a big thing that we all miss in here. Your loved ones, your kids, your nieces, your nephews, your brothers, your sisters, your mum, your dad. I think that's the hardest thing for people to understand what it's like outside. Me personally, I've done a lot of growth for myself, and you know, I've helped a lot of people in here in jail. And for me to go outside now, transition my rehabilitation site to outside, I'm ready to do that. And if I get another year, then I get another year. If I get another 2 years, I get another 2 years. It's so be it. I can't change that. There's no way around it. The next 6 months to a year, hopefully I'm outside. And to be honest, it's made me a better person. It made me mentally stronger. So I'm happy. I'm taking everything as a positive. I'm nearly sentenced, and hopefully I'm on the home stretch.
At the end of the day, you're dealing with someone's son, someone's daughter.
I'll let you go.
Okay, Bob. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Bob.
Love you, Bob.
And we're always someone's son and we're someone's daughter.